Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to yet another session of wonderful, insightful, always interesting clusters talks. My name is Javila Krapaita. I will be the moderator today. I will provide you a little bit of the context of the topic that we are going to cover, which is sustainable food systems, and we will delve into cluster approaches and the bio-based economy. So the bio-based economy can play a fundamental role in the decarbonisation of the planet, the production of agricultural bio-inputs, healthy food, and sustainable intensification of agricultural production, and the transformation towards more sustainable and equitable food systems. Bioeconomy can strengthen local value chains by promoting the reuse of food resources and increase efficiency and recycling through products and co-products in different biological systems. In addition to all of this, the diversification of agricultural commodity production, increased use of bio-based inputs in agriculture, and the diversification of rural incomes into rural production of bioenergy, bio-based industry, and environmental services can strengthen the resilience of European value chains. So this is the context in which we are in. This is the context in which clusters have decided to talk about sustainable food systems and to see clusters approaches in the bio-based economy, basically to discuss the value of the bio-based economy to make food systems safer and to make them more sustainable, to speak about the challenges in the implementation and also what clusters can do in terms of in this process of transformation. So this is a rather detailed but yet brief context in which we are in, and I will provide you with the agenda for today, with how it will go. We will hear some news, as always, from the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. We will have 2 presentations, and then it will be followed by a panel debate, and in which clusters will contribute their views, and you will be able to ask your questions. And we will end by reminding you of the funding opportunities that exist. So that's very, very roughly the agenda. As for housekeeping rules, Slido we will use to launch polls. You can scan the QR code to answer the questions whenever we ask you to, if you have a chance and if you're willing to contribute in this way, making this more interactive. Do use the Zoom Q&A function to ask your questions. And also you can use the chat function to comment or share links. Do raise your hand if you want to actually speak. We will give you the floor, and that is very welcome as well. The session is being recorded. The recording will be published on the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. So these are the housekeeping rules. We will start with the news from the European Cluster Collaboration Platform, delivered by Nina Hauptmann. Welcome, Nina, and the floor is yours.
Good morning, Chibi, and good morning to everybody. We are happy to be with you here this morning on this EU Clusters Talk, reporting to you today from Lithuania, where we're celebrating the Cluster Collaboration Lab, also mainly focused on agri-food. And yesterday we took part in the Agri-Food Forum, so very much a thematic week this week in terms of events. And going to the news from what we have in store for you is, first of all, we would like you to save the date for the next European Cluster Conference. It will take place on the 7th and 8th of May next year in Brussels in the Square Meeting Building, and there will be panel discussions, parallel sessions, workshops, matchmaking, site visits, and an exhibition. So a lot to discover. And for all of this, you can submit your ideas for topics and speakers. You can do this until the end of the 24th of November via the link that you have in the chat. And we're looking forward to hear what would you be interested to learn at the European Cluster Conference. What are your ideas for topics and a speaker if you have? So please let us know, and so that we can tailor the program to your needs. Next, currently is also taking place the SME Assembly in Bilbao, where we have already seen in the past 2 days panels, roundtable discussions, workshops, and you can follow today, the last day on the 15th, still on the live stream if you're interested. And today, just download the Promoting Enterprise app and follow the rest of the event today. We also invite you to join the Cluster Booster Academy, which is an annual event for up to 50 cluster managers, which is taking place in hybrid format. So there are 3 days of online training sessions, which will take place at the end of January, and then 2-day in-person training sessions on the 11th and 12th of March in Bulgaria at the Automotive Cluster in Sofia. So this is for all cluster managers looking to enhance the skills, to improve their capacities, and to learn more from their peers in terms of cluster management and services. So you can apply now to join the Cluster Booster Academy. We've been inviting you to the Clusters Meet Regions events. The next 2 will be taking place very soon, in Romania next week, and then in Poland on the 11th and 12th of December. So if you want to join us, please register. You can register for both events still and join. We would be happy to have you to discuss the role of clusters in the regional economies and how they can work with regional stakeholders to drive the economic transition. And what is new is that there is now a new call to host such a Cluster Meet Regions event, directed to clusters, regional agencies for economic development, and business network groups. So if you want to host a Clusters Meet Regions in your region, as the name says, please do have a look at the call for expression of interest, the white book where it's all explained about the events and what is expected, so that we can come with this event to your region and to explore the role of clusters in your particular case. And last but not least, feel free to give us some feedback on some key features of the ECCP. This is very simple survey just to get your inputs on how the services are helping you in your needs, to make new contacts, to provide you with knowledge, provide you with networking opportunities, and whether there are any ideas on how to improve these services. So please answer this if you have a few minutes. That will help us to get some insights and some feedback from you. Maybe you can do this right after the cluster talk today. And with that, back to you, Civile, and to our speakers for today.
Thank you so much, Nina. We will move to the speakers of today in just a second. We will begin by a presentation on common agricultural policy and bioeconomy, which will be delivered by Policy Officer at DG Agri, that is obviously the European Commission, Czerek Terpstra. Good morning, welcome, we're all ears.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. Yes, I'm a Policy Officer at DG Agri at the unit B2, Environmental Sustainability. And I'll provide you some more insights in the possibilities the CAP is providing for the bioeconomy. Next slide, please. So this gives an overview of the history of the bioeconomy from 2012 onwards, when the first bioeconomy strategy was adopted. In 2018, there was an update. And last year, there was also a progress report, which led to the Council conclusions. And in the Council conclusions, they are encouraging the Commission to also update the policy from 2018. And that will take place in the next strategic period. So that will be from 2027 onwards. There's no date attached to it yet. That's up to the next Commission. But that's what most probably will happen in the future. And what we also would like to highlight is that the Council conclusions have a special emphasis on primary producers within the bioeconomy as an integrated part of bio-based value chains. So that's something we very much support. And next slide, please. This gives an overview of what member states are doing at the moment. There's like 10 member states that have already a dedicated bioeconomy strategy. 7 member states are in the process of developing one. And there's also member states that have a more regional-based bioeconomy strategies. Next slide, please. So now we turn to the Common Agricultural Policy. So as you maybe already know, the Common Agricultural Policy is based on these 10 key policy objectives, which is the basis for the CAP strategic plans that the member states have drafted and are now implementing. And the bioeconomy is also integrated in the objectives of this of the Common Agricultural Policy. Maybe you have to press yes. Yeah, thank you. That's promoting renewable energy. That's the special objective 4, as we call it, and promote the bioeconomy. That's in special objective 8. That is for promoting employment, growth, social inclusion, and local developments in rural areas. Next slide, please. So, as I already briefly mentioned, the member states have to define their needs in their CAP strategic plans. And if we talk about the bioeconomy, then this is basically the member states have to make an estimation of the needs they have on the specific field. For example, how much biomass do we need to obtain our goals? And it's really up to the member states then to compose a mix of several interventions to be able to meet those needs. Next slide, please. In the Common Agricultural Policy, there's also indicators that are part of the Common Monitoring and Evaluation framework. And this helps the Common Agricultural Policy to measure the performance of the CAP. And there's, for example, impact indicators for measuring the impact of policy interventions in the long term. And there's also result indicators that link the CAP interventions to their purpose. And for the bioeconomy, you see here that there's impact indicator 12, which is about the increase of sustainable energy in agriculture. And there's also 2 result indicators for renewable energy from agriculture and investments related to climate. As you see, there's no specific indicators that really focus on the bioeconomy as such. It's always part of other indicators, but this gives us a view of what member states are doing. Next slide, please. At the moment, we see that most strategic plans of the Common Agricultural Policy identify a specific need to develop the bioeconomy. And member states are supporting these needs with several instruments. And one of them is, for example, investments. This can be several things. For example, I already mentioned it before, investments in the production of renewable energy. But it can also be other things like, for example, investments in biogas installations or for equipment that enhance the recovery of sludge or manure. Byproducts. So this can have several forms. Then there's the intervention of cooperation, where farmers can cooperate amongst each other, and the cost for those new forms of cooperation can therefore be partly reimbursed, for example. Then we have the area-based environment and climate interventions. And there are 2 different things that can be done. One is the eco schemes. These are specific schemes that member states compile on the basis of their needs, and they go beyond the compulsory measures that member states have to do in the field of climate and environment. And one example is, for example, enlarge filtering strips along water courses beyond what is required in the basic conditionality. And then, for example, allow the harvesting of biomass without hampering the filtering function, of course, of those filtering strips. Then lastly, there is also support for knowledge exchange and dissemination of interventions, and that this can take forms of trainings, advice, and for example, also awareness campaigns. Next slide. And to dive a bit deeper into one example, and I mentioned it already a couple of times, is that renewable energy is used a lot in the bioeconomy. It's highly likely that interventions allocated to the bioeconomy are supporting or have a link with renewable energy, and this is figure from a mapping and analysis study of the CAP strategic plans. And it shows you that in the current CAP strategic plans, there is already 1,556 megawatts of renewable energy production allocated. And yeah, this gives a little bit of an overview. I don't have other examples available at the moment because, as I said, there's result indicators, impact indicators, but they're not specifically focused on the bioeconomy. So sometimes member states, they describe their interventions not always very clearly, so we cannot specifically give an overview of what's happening at the moment, but this example gives maybe a little bit of an idea. That needs some more analysis from our side before we can give a complete overview. Next slide, please. Yes, I thought there was another slide, but I was mistaken. This was my short presentation, so thank you all for your attention.
Thanks a lot. Could I just ask you to clarify the broad view of the countries that have started implementing bioeconomy policies? You have mentioned that some have concentrated on more regional policies, right? But then are there states in the European Union that have not started doing anything about the bioeconomy policies?
No, I wouldn't say didn't do anything. There's member states that are still in the process of developing their strategies. And I know that there's also already member states that have policies in place that are have a very close link to the bioeconomy, for example.
So this one slide that you thought was there, but it wasn't, would this have been on, a guideline to clusters, your main message to the clusters that you want to deliver today?
I would say that it's very important to contact your national administrations, or maybe even local and regional administrations, because they can deliver input to the governments for the CAP strategic plans. And of course, now the CAP strategic plans are already being implemented because the new agricultural policy is implemented from 2023 onwards. But in between, there is always space for amendments. This is a kind of a complicated process. I cannot give details on that. I have to ask my colleague how it works. But there is opportunities to make adjustments to these CAP strategic plans. And yeah, I think it's always good to go to your national governments or local and regional administrations if you have ideas how certain interventions or measures within the bioeconomy can have a place within the common agricultural policy.
Okay, good. So it's still open for adjustments. Thank you for that message. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your presentation. And we will move on to the next speaker now, who will speak about Circular Bio-Based Europe joint undertaking, and this will be acting executive director at Circular Bio-Based Europe joint undertaking, and his name is Niccolò Giacomuzzi More. Good morning and welcome. The floor is yours.
Good morning, Sibile, and good morning to all the participants. And thanks a lot for inviting us to have this short presentation about what is Circular Bio-Based Europe joint undertaking. I would like to thank Sierk because he really did a perfect context setting from a policy point of view, recalling actually the way from the bioeconomy strategy in 2014 that set up also the Circular Bio-Based Europe Joint Undertaking previous agency, so the BBI Joint Undertaking that some of you might know. So we are today in the second mandate of this joint undertaking. And actually the development has been quite interesting. I will talk a bit about that. So, but maybe just if we can go to the next slide to explain what is a joint undertaking. We are a funding body set up by the European Union. We are a private-public partnership. It means that the European Union, represented by the Commission, will put 1 billion euro of public funding, and the Bio-Based Industries Consortium, there is a grouping of industries, but also research center, SMEs, and a lot of other actors, will put another 1 billion euro in terms of in-kind contribution. So the total budget of the initiative is 2 billion euro. We have been launched in 2021 as a continuation of BBIJU, and we will talk about it to give you a bit the picture of what is going on, what has been done so far, and what we are going to do. The new mandate of CV joint undertaking is really to contribute to the European Green Deal goal, building on the success of BBIJU and operating under the umbrella of the Horizon Europe program. So we fund research and innovation action very, very briefly. But so we are a funding instrument. We work through call for proposal, and I will go through that in a few minutes. Can we go to the next slide, please? So just to give you a general overview of what are the general and specific objectives of CBJU, our main focus is to accelerate innovation process and development of bio-based innovative solutions. The idea is really that we push the innovation from the lab to the market, helping enterprises, large and small, and research center to really fill the gap that exists today between the research that is a very high quality in Europe and the market uptake of this solution. In all this context, what we have is a set of environmental performance indicators that we require companies and beneficiaries to actually comply with, because we want that the result of this research are really strong from an environmental point of view. Can we go to the next slide, please? So where do we operate? We operate in the zone that you see indicated in green. So we find basically 3 types of action. Coordination support action, like every Horizon program, they are more policy oriented and they have no impact actually on the TRL jump, so the technology readiness level jump of the project. But what we focus on is actually research and innovation action. So up to TRL 5, meaning the development and validation of technologies, but especially around 80% of our budget goes to the higher TRLs, the so-called innovation action, what we call the demonstration of technologies in TRL 6 and 7, and the large-scale, first-of-a-kind product industrial facilities in Europe. And this is a very specific feature of this program, and I will talk about it a bit later, also showing you a couple of examples. But so really, the focus is to involve industry and research actors to push the innovation to the market, to the actual production of bio-based and circular products. Can we go to the next slide, please? So just to give you a bit of a flavor of the type of beneficiary we have in our grant, this picture represents the whole portfolio of BBI joint undertaking, so our predecessor. We funded 142 projects. Currently, they are already 163 funded projects. Out of the total of over 1,000 beneficiaries, you might see that actually industry gets a large part of this share, but within this share, almost 40% of the companies are small and medium-sized enterprises. The percentage you see related only to BBI, but now with the CBE project, we are going even higher in the percentage of participation in numbers, but also funding. It's almost the same. It's 39% of SMEs are participating to our project, which is a very nice feature because we see that actually they are those coming up with the innovative ideas. We know that SMEs are the heart of European innovation, and this program is exactly targeting them. So we are very, very happy about it because also we see that this creates a very nice synergies then later on with large companies, research center, etc. We have spin-offs, startups coming up. So it is extremely interesting. And we will see also later in the concrete examples that they are leading even in the high TRL project, really first of a kind, large scale production facilities. And then, of course, we have research organization, higher education establishment that cover more or less 1/3 of the participation, and other institutions. But so we have also a large number of countries participating, mostly European, but also from other continents, very few. Also because what is required is that actually the projects are deployed in Europe. And that's also another important feature because we want these biorefineries to be built in Europe to guarantee also a certain impact, and we will see it later on. Can we go to the next slide, please? So this is a very new thing. Actually, it went online yesterday, and you can find it on our website, on the CBE-JU website. And actually, it's a map of the flagship and demonstration plant that we funded in Europe. So the yellow ones are the demonstration plants and the green one are the biorefineries. So this is actually a map of existing demonstration and industrial plants that CBE-JU funded over the last 8-9 years. And it shows very nicely. As you can see, there is a nice distribution. We are working a lot with the Central Eastern European countries to improve their participation. But so this gives you a flavor also of the distribution of the bioeconomy and the potential of the bioeconomy in Europe. If you go to the website and you want to play with this map, can you go back? Yes, you can click on each one of the flags you see, and you will have a fiche of each project with the participant, the aim of the project, the matter, because we cover a wide range of sector, and among those is also, of course, the agri-food sector. So next slide, please. And this is a very short map of the flagship biorefinery that were funded by BBI and by CBE. The two in red that you see now are the one that have been funded over the last call, and they just started in 2023. But so, and there you can also see in this list the different sectors that are addressed by our project. And remember, each of these biorefinery is first of a kind. It does not exist in the world. So it's a very, very nice map that also shows a good distribution. Can we go to the next slide? And for me, it's important also to highlight that actually there is a huge impact of these biorefineries that have been funded by CBE-JU. And it's actually almost 20,000 jobs, direct and indirect, but also we stimulated a lot of private investment. Imagine that for every euro of CBE-JU funding, there are 5 euros that have been put in private investment into these biorefineries. They are very huge, large projects. They are very costly, so there is a lot of financial engineering that is implied. But also the impact at the level, for example, of the emission savings is very important, and the potential of the replication of these biorefineries is extremely high. So this is just to give you a flavor of what is the impact of this project on the ground. Can we go to the next slide? And this is a slide I will pass very quickly on this, just to tell you that this plant, they are there, you see them. So this is the result of really 8 years of work in CBE-JU. We have these plants existing in all over Europe, covering from the wood biomass to the agri-food biomass to the aquatic biomass as well. There is another area that is growing a lot for the potential of the aquatic biomass in the bioeconomy. We can go to the next slide. So I wanted to give you 2 examples that are related to the agri-food sector of the biorefineries funded by CBE-JU. This is the Plenitude project that is led by the company called Enough. You see the plant actually is the first production unit of bio-based proteins with a very innovative product that have been funded by CBE-JU in 2019, and the production facility is operating. So it is working. They are building other industrial units beside that. And it's a very nice project led by an SME. So it is quite an important project in the area of agri-food, and they are using, just because I will touch upon that later, as a biomass residues of wheat cultivation together with fungi. So you see that the process is based on mycoproteins. So it is a quite interesting project. But so they are doing this bio-based protein that nowadays you can see also in the supermarkets, and they are available for consumption. We can go to the next example. There is Sysplant is a new project actually, and they are working on a process that is going to transform underexploited feedstock into together with yeast, of course, and they are going to produce protein ingredients. And this is also a very, very nice project in south of France. And is involving a lot of companies that you can see in the picture. But so this one is really a project that is starting today. So we don't have yet the picture of the plant, but I thought it was interesting to give you an idea. So maybe just to conclude, bio-based CBEJU is not funding only the agri-food sector because the project covers a wide range of applications. This is the beauty and the potential of the bioeconomy actually in action. So we go from chemicals to bio-based proteins, materials, bio-based plastics, for example. There are projects also in the area of bio-based plastics. But so the agri-food area still remains very important, and it touches several products actually that are created. They could be flavors, they could be ingredients, they could be bio-based proteins, they could be, for example, we have insect proteins that are produced in a flagship plant in France for feed and food. So again, a really wide range, but there is a strong component in the agri-food sector, of course. So next slide. So this is the conclusion from me, but of course I will be happy to answer your question. I wanted just to touch upon a couple of points. There was a question from the colleagues about what are the challenges going forward. Of course, the joint undertaking is going to operate over the next years. The last call will be run in 27, 28. But so, of course, we see the potential of the bioeconomy. We are working very well with the European Commission. The Commission is member of our board and is helping us with the running of the joint undertaking. The DGs in concern are DG RTD, DG Agri, and DG Grow, because these are the three interested policy center, let's say, in this area. And in terms of challenges, we identify some challenges already together with the Commission and the industry. There is a problem of market uptake of this type of product that are completely innovative, and sometimes consumers are not fully aware. But also there is the comparison with fuel-based or oil-based equivalents. There is still a bit penalizing for the bio-based because there is not a standardization of bio-based products, so what they really are. Another problem is the funding, because CBEJU can provide 1 billion funding over the years. There is a lot of support also from the Cluster 6 program that is run by REA in collaboration with DG Agri, but still there is a lot of need of additional funding because we see that the risk perception of this sector is still very high, especially in the banking sector or the venture capitals. So we need to break a bit this perception, and I think it is extremely important to focus also on this. We know that the policy landscape is also changing. We look forward to see how the new Commission is going to position the bio-based economy and the bioeconomy into the next Commission program. So as said by the colleague of DG Agri. Maybe the last thing, I would like to invite you to go on our website, and I will put in the chat also the link to our stakeholder forum that is happening in the 6th and 7th of December. And we really would like to invite the cluster concerned. We have a session specifically on collaboration between regions and cluster, because we think that bio-based industries and the CBEJU have a lot of value at local level and for the clusters, especially for certain type of clusters. And so we really would like to have you at our stakeholder forum. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation, and thank you specifically for the specific examples, even though one of the factories did not have a picture, but we could still clearly see the examples that are very specific and prove your work. I wanted to touch upon a couple of points that you've mentioned. For example, the Central and Eastern European countries, you said you're working to improve their participation. Would you tell us the situation? Why are they so inactive, and what are you doing to make them more active?
So it's not that they are inactive. I think that we saw a bit of a drop in participation with the first CBJU call, which was a call that was a bit special because it was run over a 3 months period. So it was very short also to mobilize the right actors. So we don't want to draw conclusion on that, but we see a very, very strong potential of Eastern European country in terms of bioeconomy, biomass availability, for example, of all types. And also they have a strong agriculture sector that could be really exploiting the potential of the bioeconomy together with industry. What we are doing to support them is really to go on site, to involve industry who could be interested into joining the partnership, and our private partner is also coming in to explain the opportunities that are there for this type of industries. We saw that these events that we organized, for example, earlier this year were pretty successful. We organized an event in Poland, for example, but also we wanted to push, for example, Greece and Portugal, who were still a bit underrepresented in our calls, and we are seeing some positive results in the call that is being evaluated in these days. And so we hope to come back with better results for next year. But also for 2024, we are organizing a series of workshops to really involve industry and to explain what are the opportunities and to identify what are the public actors like large universities or research centers that can make the link, and they can bring really help to create the right critical mass to participate successfully to CBJU projects.
Thank you so much. If you could stay with us throughout the discussion, that would be lovely, but we understand if people have other obligations. But we will now move to the panel discussion, and we will encourage everybody to join us on Slido. Bioeconomy is the hashtag, or else you can just scan the QR code and participate this way, and we will move to the discussion in just a minute. But before we begin, I do want to ask on Slido, and this is an optional question. You can choose one of the 3 options. Are you or your members working with bio-based materials? That's a question for clusters and for us to understand better what you are working in. One of the options is yes, but still in the process of adopting. Yes, for a long time already, not yet. Do choose one of the 3, and so far we've got yes for a long time already as the main answer, the one that 60% of participants have put in, and we will just give it a couple of more seconds to get a better picture of what the situation looks like. Are you or your members working with bio-based materials? Most of them still say for a long time already, but there are those who do not, and that's 1/4 of the clusters or the participants of the organizations that are participating now. I will, as this goes, I will just remind everybody of the stakeholders forum that the previous speaker mentioned, and we'll just say that the deadline to register is on the 24th of November. So that's, I think, next week. You've got a week to go, but your participation is very, very welcome there. Yes, for a long time already. Half of you say that you are working with bio-based materials. Thank you for those answers. Let's see what the clusters will have to say, how many of them are working with bio-based materials. In one word, what is your view what is, in your view, the value of the bio-based economy? If you could just put it in one word, what is the value? What is so valuable about bio-based economy? What is the first thing that comes to your mind? Just put this in, and we put it in the cloud, and then we will see what dominates and what is the most common answer. But if you could just put in one word. Sustainability comes first, obviously, that's lovely. 4 participants are typing, I can see, and we will see what comes up next. In one word, what is, in your view, the value of the bio-based economy? Enabler of the Green Deal, green, sustainability, social impact, security, future. Future comes up as the brightest and the biggest word in the word cloud. I will wait for a couple of more answers and then we can move on. I think 3 people are typing and they are choosing green and future as well. So the value of bio-based economy is future. That sounds promising, and sustainability comes up again. So we have kind of gotten the understanding of what you're trying to say, and that was very useful. Thank you. And let's move to yet another question. What is the biggest challenge to use bio-based materials? And I think that before we can start the discussion, this is also very useful to know. The biggest challenge to use bio-based materials, public acceptance, and circularity. I'm just noting those down. Public acceptance, regulations, circularity, expensive technology, as the challenges to use bio-based materials. Thank you. That's very useful for our talk later. Challenges to use bio-based materials. Regulation scale up, moving away from traditional ways, expensive technology, public acceptance, standardization, circularity, and regulations is just the biggest challenge. And this will be a useful and an important point in the cluster's debate in just a second. The biggest challenge to use bio-based materials. I promise this is the very, very last question that we've got for you. Which aspects of sustainable food systems interest you the most? Which aspects of sustainable food systems interest you the most? Which aspects of sustainable food systems interest you the most? So the main challenge to use bio-based material was regulations, and 50% of you, or half of you, have been using bio-based materials for a long time already. And the aspects of sustainable food systems that interest you the most are waste prevention, valorization of waste. Okay, very good. Thank you for those answers and for those inputs again. Thank you so much. Fair trade, someone is saying. What other aspects? Valorization of waste as a common answer, but we can see that more people are typing. I will just have a look at what it says. Which aspects of sustainable food systems interest you the most? Food security, moving away from growth economy, water and carbon footprint, health, waste prevention, value added, regenerative, valorization of waste, still as the most common reply, but I'm going to note down fair trade, traceability, health, water and carbon footprint. Thank you so much. That's really, really helpful and really useful. And I'm really, really glad that you have replied and that you have presented your answers. Valorization of waste and health. as the most common ones. Thank you so much. We will now definitely move to the panel debate, and we'll hear from the Senior Research and Project Manager at Circular Bioeconomy Cluster Southwest Ireland, Stephen Barry Hannon. Thank you so much for joining. We will also hear Project Manager at Innov Cluster, Susanna Caillou, and International Affairs Officer at Wagralim, Yuan Chai. She is also with us. Thank you, everybody. Let us have just a very brief introduction of the exact clusters that you represent and what specifically you're doing. And maybe we could also go back with your initial statement to what Zerek said in the beginning, that there are still opportunities to interfere in CAP strategic plans, opportunities to make adjustments to CAP strategic plans, and maybe you've got some suggestions, or maybe you want to say that everything is clear, nothing is clear about this, and and maybe you can yourself highlight certain points that need the most attention from the perspective of clusters. Susanna, let's start with you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I would like to thank Jvil and Nina for this invitation. I'm Susanna Caio from Innov Cluster. It is a cluster for the agri-food sector in the central region of Portugal. And we have something like 150 members right now from the agro-food industry. Mainly transformation companies, but we also have some primary production companies, and of course the academia, legal authorities, and so on. So yeah, we are working in these themes of bioeconomy a long time ago. Actually, I think that I can say that from 2012 till now. So yes, that's our presentation.
And if you had to single out the biggest challenges, as we've asked on the slide, would you?
Yes, I think one of the biggest challenge that we face here in Portugal is the network or the linkage between all actors, all stakeholders, and also, of course, the government bodies, to align all the necessary things to start moving, because we relate to some of the problems that were pointed out, but I believe that the companies have the will. They are, let's say, excited to do, or enthusiastic to start doing things, because actually food waste is a real problem for them. But we have to, in cooperation, start to do really interconnected strategies. So that is one of the main challenges that we face right now at this level.
Okay, thank you so much. Stephen, what would you say? Companies are enthusiastic to do things, but we have to have interconnected strategies. This is what Susanna says. Does that sound like something that concerns you as well?
Yes, so well, just for a bit of background for everybody, my name is Stephen. I'm working with the Circular Bioeconomy Southwest in Tralee in County Kerry, Ireland. So we have 50 plus members now already. So it kind of, our cluster focuses on really the agriculture, marine, and waste to value. So we actually have companies in all those directions. So we have agri-food, probably people are most familiar would be Kerry Group. Then we have kind of biotechnology, like Nutramara. And then we've got people kind of focusing on algae, we've got kind of forestry and things like that. And then we are also, then with the waste to value, we're working on new projects on urban waste valorization. So we're actually kicking off that kind of on Friday. We're developing a paper on that. But yes, so challenges, I suppose, very similar to what was mentioned by Susanna. You know, we've got such a wide variety because bioeconomy is so all-encompassing and it's so big, you know, so we're having success in kind of showing the value to these companies as well, you know. But yeah, it's kind of a joined up. We need longer kind of term thinking, I think, especially from the national side of things, whether that can be funding, really moving away from a little bit of that competitive nature of business and bringing more collaboration and cooperation. We're getting success with that as well, obviously, but yeah, it's really spotting, you know, getting companies to really see that the benefits of that interconnectivity and the benefits of the kind of the old, you know, cooperative models kind of a way, we call it coopetition model. So yeah, we're running into those. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, to ask you how specifically you're working on showing the benefits of interconnectivity. Is it just something that you know that you have to do, or, you know, is there a strategic plan?
No, our strategic plan is really just we can really focus, you know, we really focus on the individual needs of our companies, and we're kind of now we have a natural ability to be able to see the synergies and the collaboration anyway. And I think the more and more we do it, the more and more people will see the benefits of it. So we, you know, it's kind of case by case, you know what I mean? So more when we onboard someone as a new member, we are already kind of thinking of possible synergies for them. It's not just a case of onboarding.
Okay.
So we think, yeah.
Okay,
So
thank you so much.
Correctly.
Thank you. Johan, what about you? Tell us a little bit about your cluster.
Yeah. First, thank you for the invitation. So a little bit about our background. I'm from Wagalim, the innovation cluster of agri-food in Wallonia, the French part of Belgium. Myself, I'm taking care of the international affairs, but including everything related to Europe. I personally taking care as coordinator in 2 European projects, and we are also having ongoing 6 European projects, mostly related to also the valorization of set streams and resilience of the agri-food ecosystem. We have more than 300 members at this moment, with I would say around 70-80% that are industries. And I think it's the reality of the European agri-food ecosystem that we are having more SMEs in our sector than the others. About sustainability and the bioeconomy, at the regional level, this is mostly integrated into the sustainability and circular economy strategy, so which are of course all linked. And we, as a cluster, we have working on this subject since, I think, like Susanna, around 2012, that we start these reflections, how to motivate our actors from the farm to fork, as a value chain, having this value chain overview to help the ecosystem being more resilient. And I would say recently, we are more than happy to have this year cluster project that we are coordinating called Be Resilient. And through that, we also having more concrete projects from SMEs, more concrete connections that we would like to do, which is, I agree with Stefan and Susanna, that is a big challenge that we are facing. Even though our core business is promoting collaborative projects, collaboration, that's what we, at least the core business of a new innovation cluster. But still, for the sector, we need to have more effort and trying to do more on that.
Okay. You mentioned some concrete examples, and maybe you could share them. Maybe you could just also give us a view on your current, or just not necessarily successful, but the projects that are working on fostering bio-based approaches?
Of course. Under the Peer Resilient project, we are organizing one call with 2 cutoff, and we are launching so we are having this second cutoff for SMEs. So there are still opportunities to submit projects. And under the fourth cutoff, we got around 50 projects, 50 submissions. And after evaluations, we have granted, of course, a very high quality project. Among them, there's valorization of fish product. They're also having a valorization of apple pomace. That how can we use that into different snacks or other types of agri-food products. We also have spent grain valorization, because in Belgium we have a lot of berries, but it's also growing in other countries, so that are quite interesting. And as a project, we also have the ambition to analyze the biomass situation in Europe. Of course, it's very large, and we try to have some focus. And normally, very soon, we're gonna have a short presentation of the result of this analysis, and normally this will be focused on the apple pomace and also wheat grain. But we are still doing some other analysis on cheese, whey, grape, wine making pomace, etc.
Okay, but what is the purpose of this analysis of the biomass situation of Europe? What are you going to do with the data?
In fact, each regions and each countries has its own high volume set streams, I would say. The aim of it is to see in this country who have a lot of volume and might have better experience of valorizations, how this technology and experience can be transferred to the other regions.
Thank you so much. Susanna, do you want to share your successful projects to foster bio-based approaches?
Yes, I would like to start with one project that we have ongoing right now. And this is a project that came from a partnership with the other 4 entities in Europe, and to address a need that we found in the market in this bioeconomy sector, that was the skills gap. So this is going on too fast, or not so fast as we expected or liked, but actually there is a skills gap in the valorization of byproducts and residues from agro-industry. So we started developing the byproducts for development project. It's an Erasmus Plus project. And the main objective is to create a new professional profile into the market, the expert in the valorization of byproducts and waste in the agri-food sector. So this new professional, we believe that we will enable professionals in this sector to meet the needs and opportunities that are offered by the bio-based labor market as we are starting to develop these opportunities. So for this, we created the byproducts for development MOOC. That is, I would like to announce it today, that is online right now. It's free.
What is it?
Sorry?
What is it exactly?
Yes, it is a course with more or less 55 hours that will address themes like the technologies for valorization of byproducts in the agro-food sector, also the markets and the trends and market opportunities for these residues and byproducts, of course, and also how to build new business models around these. So it is a very interesting course that we recommend, and it is online, it is free. I can send you more details in the chat. When,
yes, you can share the link in the chat, but who is it mostly for? Would you say what is the target audience that you want to reach to combat the skills gap, as far as I understand?
Yes, here we are addressing our target public is mainly workers from the food industry sector. So in this reskilling and upskilling approach, of course, because sometimes inside the agro-industry companies, they don't have enough knowledge to understand how can they valorate more that residue that they are now spending money to treat. So. We believe that this knowledge could be very interesting to have inside the companies. Of course, we are addressing it also to students. This is for students that have the 5 level of I don't know how to say this, the levels of knowledge of qualifications levels. So some students that already know and have some bases in bioeconomy or agriculture fields or environment fields. So this is so they can also specialize in this field and create more opportunities in the market. And be available in the market for the companies that might need them.
Okay, so, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Stephen, are you doing anything to tackle the skills issue? Have you not noticed the skills issue there? In which case, I would just encourage you to share some other successful projects.
Yeah, so I suppose I can talk about 2 projects that we're kind of addressing. So we have a national one and we have an international one. So they're focused around, now they do feed into, we do have a course, a college course in the Munster Technological University, just to address the kind of the skills gap. It's kind of based on circular economy. So the bioeconomy will be part of that. So the main part of that, so I suppose I can talk about the national one that we're doing. So this will kind of feed into that, the work, so, and some of the international ones. So the national one we're doing is actually across, it's an all island collaboration between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. So the project is called BioDirect. So the aim of that really is to kind of boost innovation as quick as possible in the country for circular bioeconomy products and or solutions, not just products. So Ireland is quite lucky in that it's a small enough country, but we have a really strong collaboration with all of our universities and colleges. So this project will be the Technological University of the Shannon, Munster Technological University, Queen's University, Ulster University, and another organization called Intertrade Ireland, which is like an Enterprise Ireland, but it's in the north. So the aims of this really is to boost innovation, to kind of focus collaboration in the country towards this way of thinking and innovation. The 4 areas we're targeting, so will be agriculture, textiles, packaging, and the construction sectors. These are all quite relevant to Ireland and the kind of European-wide anyway. So some of them could, some of the sectors can be quite, damaging to the environment and things like that. So what we're doing is we're going to go to sector leaders in these areas, so bigger companies and things like that, and we're going to do value chain analysis with our team here. And then we're going to go to them as well and do value chain. They're going to do a value chain analysis, and we're going to identify 2 challenges per sector, and then we're going to put that out as a competition to the entire island. So it's not just going to be businesses. So it's targeted at SMEs, larger businesses, but also research groups, farmers, schools, colleges. So anybody can come up with decent innovations. And the idea is then we've boosted up the innovation within a year and got the whole country thinking. So my background is a lot of communications as well. So it's all about focusing, getting the country to focus on that. And then when we have this All Ireland event kind of completed, we will then have an actual, we will have market analysis and, you know, market data to what areas focus, and we can develop more projects that can be brought to European level and international level. And then sticking even with those areas, we'll probably continue that again next year in Ireland, but then we will actually use that as a blueprint to for internationalization. So part of that will then obviously focus on getting more funding even for the universities, for the clusters and things like that, and then creating more collaboration between clusters that are not just bioeconomy, but like manufacturing or education. We have a strong education one here in Kerry and Cork as well. And then to address the international one, then again, look, this is to, there's still, I think, a bit of a challenge with clustering, and it's really, I know it's something we're all doing every day, but I think that it's continually improving, and we need to continually improve it. It's more collaboration internationally. So the next project we're working is called Target Circular. And what we're doing is, so it's between Ireland, Finland and Norway. So we're focusing on valorization and innovation in land kind of agriculture, marine agriculture, and then in Finland will be forestry. So we are looking at, we are finding that a lot of companies coming from these three regions that are trying to get into the bioeconomy space, but the business development advisors in each country, it's quite still, bioeconomy is still quite new, and circularity thinking is still quite new. So we are all developing a scientific-led approach for the business advisors in each region that can actually, to get a better chance of success for smaller companies, SMEs, and larger companies who want to transition or who have ideas in the bioeconomy space or the circularity space. So that's what we're at now. I'm working on toolkits to train the business advisors, but also to get these bioeconomy kind of new businesses to more solidify their ideas and give them a better chance to succeed.
That sounds impressive, but that also sounds like it's not so much the skills gap that you're tackling, but you just need to boost innovation, right? To triple and double or whatever the efforts of innovation.
But all of that information, will feed into our colleges. All of that data will be going, because especially with BioDirect, it's all of the universities. So it will go into the manufacturing space. So they'll be using so the BioDirect one is all about bio-based products to solve these challenges. So we've got so all of these industries have a very strong, we have lots of courses in the entire country in those 4 areas. So all of the information and market data that will be feeding directly into our skills gap in our courses. So courses and modules will be developed from
but it is impressive also the collaboration with universities that is so strong. Maybe you could just make a short comment, and that would maybe be useful for other clusters. How do you think you managed to connect with universities on such a big level?
We have a very cooperative nature, I think, maybe in general from the Irish people, we're very curious about getting ideas and different things, and each of the universities has a speciality. Do you know what I mean? So, it's the more collaboration we see, and that kind of raises the eyebrows, and kind of gets more focus for funding for the people who are funding projects and things like that. So the more collaboration they see is good. And plus, I think geographically, Ireland is a small enough country. We have a very, very, very strong focus on education. There's colleges all over the place. So, and it's all about sharing, we sharing knowledge, and being very strategic in what we want to get out of things,
Thank you so much for sharing this. I just will mention that some people were requesting Susanna to share the link, and she did. So there is a link to the course that she mentioned. To register, you just have to click to enroll for free. There's a button, you do that, and then you can improve your skills and diminish the skills gap that we are now singling out as the big challenge. And there are great examples from Ireland, especially tackling it, but also the Portuguese example is really good, especially knowing that it's free for everyone. So I'm very happy to be promoting it. There is a very specific question, and because Stephen mentioned marines, maybe I will just try to address it to you from our audience, which is a great chance for me to remind everybody to send in your questions. You can also raise your hand to comment, and we will invite you to speak with the panelists. But the question from Miguel is this: freshwater blue bioeconomy, other than WWT, is forgotten, but we import 80% seafood. Isn't it too dangerous? This is the question that Miguel is asking. WWT, is it containers? What does it stand for? I'm not so sure. Stephen, would you know how to answer this question?
I'm not sure what the WWT side of things in there. Maybe, I suppose, I don't know, I'm not too clear what the question is. Is it probably just overfishing maybe? And there's, that kind of, there's too much importing. I'm not sure.
Okay, if Miguel Sanz, if you could clarify your question, and if you could explain the abbreviation, I think this would be very useful.
Oh yes, sorry.
Wastewater treatment. Okay. That was obvious. We didn't get
it.
Yeah. Sorry about this.
It is.
So the freshwater blue bioeconomy, other than wastewater treatment, is forgotten, but we import 80% seafood. Isn't that too dangerous? What do you think?
Well, I suppose I wouldn't be my complete area of expertise. The ocean side of things, mine's kind of the business development and trying to increase it. But I suppose, wastewater treatment is always an issue. It's always a problem trying to get value out of that. I suppose then we do have an overfishing problem. Anyway, I don't know if I'm addressing his question, but that will obviously create lots of waste. So there's a huge overfishing, I think, off the coast of Ireland anyway, which will, I think, I kind of mentioned it earlier about this continuous striving for growth in our economic systems is always going to cause problems in wastewater treatment, food waste in general. It's non-regenerative, so I think the bioeconomy is a good way to address all those issues. But yeah, I suppose we do need to focus that. We do have, Ireland is quite well suited as well. We've actually kind of gotten a lot of investment to our wastewater treatment. We've had massive strides in that. I can't really speak to European level.
Okay. How can we support companies in adopting bio-based approaches? What would you say are the bottlenecks? Susanna, would you have an opinion on this?
Yes, I think that there are some bottlenecks. Most of them, we already identified some, the skills gap, of course, but also I think one of the most, and I already talked about the cooperation between all stakeholders. We believe that these kind of challenges must be collectively addressed to reach successful solutions. So we believe that at the governmental and institutional level, we need to address the regulation. So a compliance compliance challenges. The companies may face very lots of challenges with this part of the regulation and this uncertainty around it. Also, the lack of standardization that we still are working on it. Of course, common standards at a national level or at a European level. So, and in both parts, I believe that clusters can have a good chance to also support in these areas. Skills gaps, we already talked, because, for instance, in Portugal, we understood with this project that we didn't had any course that actually addressed these issues in the market. So we believe that this is needed. We need to have these kind of courses in academia or in professional courses. So this kind of content needs to be addressed, and also in the legal framework of educational and skills and reskilling. And of course, at the research and development level, of course, we need to address the technological risks of all these new technologies and that they may bring. And at the company's level, I believe that we need to address several problems. The limited market demand, because we don't have enough raising awareness campaigns to these. We are always talking about food loss and food waste. So, but actually consuming new products that are developed through byproducts, this is not well received by the public. So also the competitive pressures, bio-based alternatives, this is also the limited access to raw materials. So the new companies, that because companies are focused to producing their own products, they would like to have transformation companies that could transform their residues into new products. So, but actually to build these new companies, what we see is that the access to raw materials is not so easy. And of course, the high initial cost of investment in this kind of industries. So I think that only a collective approach, governments, academia, R&D centers, companies from the production level to the residues treatment level. So we all, the professional educational institutions, so we all need to go together and tackle these issues.
Thank you so much. And Joanne, as a final comment, how would you say we can support companies in adopting bio-based approaches?
I very agree with Susanna what she said. Funding, I think, is very important. The R&D support, especially for the agri-food sector, there are all SMEs having quite different funding capacity. So that's why the public funding would a big help for them, and the entrepreneurial spirit that we all are promoting. But as we can see, intermediary sectors like the new actors, new engineering companies that can provide services to valorize side streams, etc. That are still something a big barrier to provide also support with the reality of the agri-food sector, again, there's technology that are existing, and I like that in the public we said that is very expensive, and which is also a challenge of this this all initiatives. So we will need to have these innovations, but to meet the reality of the agri-food sector and also the funding capacity of all these companies. And I would also highlight there's a big challenge is between this competition usage between sectors. So valorization of side streams from agri-food, what we would like is to insert these side streams again somehow into the agri-food sector, because with this carbon neutral initiatives that of course is very important, but a lot of agri-food companies valorize the side streams into energy, and of course there's a high value, more easy process for them to sell them their side streams to energy company. But in a long-term view, even though in a mid-term view, is a big risk that we are facing in the agri-food system. We would like to have a resilient ecosystem. We would like to be independent, at least at the European level. But this competition usage between sector is a high risk. So we're also making some analysis internally through regional regional discussions, but also we try to work on this with European partners. As Wakalim, we also established office of S3 partnership, so the Smart Specialization Strategy partnership at the European level, which is called Ingredients for a Circular Economy. So to promote this valorization, but again, as a European level. So we're also trying to make things move and make things at least brainstorm on this balanced usage between each sector.
Thank you so much. The really valuable insights we have collected, many ideas. Thank you very much for participating. Thank you those who have asked the questions. Thank you those who listened. That was really, really very instrumental and useful for future discussions and for policy implementation, obviously, hopefully too, because we have gathered here not just the clusters, but the representatives of the Commission as well. So it's always very useful to have that dialogue. And thank you so much for participating. I hope to see you in the next or other clusters talks. We will now hear about some funding opportunities, and I will give the floor back to Nina of the European Cluster Collaboration Platform.
Many thanks. Great examples of all the work you're doing from our speakers. Very inspiring. Just the last minutes, just to highlight some opportunities related to the topic that we've been discussing. So there's a call from Silos to Diversity, small-scale value-based demonstration pilots. This is a call from the Horizon Innovation Action. Projects should develop new business models for the economic viable valorization of local underutilized feedstock, for example, byproducts, residues, waste from land and livestock. They should demonstrate suitable processes and technologies to produce high-value bio-based materials and products, build on existing value chains to strengthen their sustainability through interlinkages and to improve the knowledge on the quantitative and qualitative requirements, harvesting, logistics, treatment, and so on. There are two deadlines. There's a two-stage call, and the first one is on the 22nd of February next year. And you have the topic ID in the screen and the link in the chat. The next call, we would like to highlight circular bioeconomy startup villages. So also a very interesting call. It's a Horizon coordination and support action. Projects here should develop and transfer the concept of sustainable circular bioeconomy solutions in startup villages showcase novel governance and business models, strengthen the position of bioeconomy startups in their rural ecosystem, enhance training opportunities, and with the end goal to improve rural innovation systems. Deadline is the 22nd of February next year. Topic ID you see here, and click on the link in the chat to find out more. If you're interested in providing bioeconomy product development assistance, maybe this call is for you. Here, projects should contribute to increased access to financial, legal, and technical support along all TRLs and the value chains of bioeconomy projects, help to align the actors. So we talk about primary producers, citizens, innovators, SMEs, national authorities, to enhance the collaborative ventures of their projects and support in the promotion, of course, to the bio-based systems, promoting valorization of local biological resources and ecosystem services. Same deadline, 22nd of February, Horizon Coordination Support Action, topic ID here in the screen, and link in the chat. And last but not least, there are open opportunities for SMEs in concrete, provided by the Euroclusters. For example, an acceleration lump sum call to target food processing and producing SMEs, intending to optimize the use of biomass via digital and sustainable tools. This is from the Eurocluster Be Resilient, with the deadline of the 1st of February 24, but you have also a lot of open calls in different ecosystems that might be of interest to you or to your SMEs as the final end users of these financial support options. All calls are published on the European Cluster Collaboration Platform, so have a look at this in detail. And with that, back to you, and many thanks again for this interesting discussion.
Thank you, Nina. All of the links are also on the chat. So let me just remind everybody of this, as well as reminding everyone to register for the next talks. As soon as next week, in just a week's time, we'll have a discussion on generative AI, potential and challenges for business application. 2 weeks, in 2 weeks, a discussion on green transition support, energy and resource efficiency and EU business. And then also on the 6th of December, strategic technologies for Europe platform, ECCP activities on the 13th of December, wrap up and outlook. So do register for them if you have not done so. We very much encourage you to not just register, but to participate as well. That's really, really important. So thank you for participating here and for registering to participate in the next cluster talks. Visit the ECCP website and follow it on social media, European Cluster Collaboration Platform, also on LinkedIn and other social media channels. Just look for the hashtag EU Cluster Talks everywhere, or ECCP, and then it will take you to the right places where you can discuss the issues that matter to clusters and so to you, obviously, and you can successfully discuss them in all of the social media platforms listed here on this screen. What else? I think that's it. I think we will just meet again next week to talk about generative AI. And I wish you a successful week, the rest of the week, and a fruitful, effective, and hard-working day. And then see you soon. So thank you for participating. See you next time.